Can't thank you enough, Commissioner, for not only the past 16 months with COVID, but just with the changing landscape in college football. You and your staff, the leadership you provide us is amazing. Also, I'd like to recognize Mitch Barnhart, UK administration, for what they do for us. Obviously, very trying times. So, been great support to us. A year ago, very difficult on the University of Kentucky. So grateful to be here. You know, not having these media days, like Greg said, feels very different. 9 years being here, very changing, difficult times. But a year ago for the University of Kentucky was very, very tough. You know, several players. We had some injuries to Chris Oates, something that he's still fighting for each and every day. The loss of Coach John Slarman, you know, it's something that really shook our program. So really grateful to our players, our administration, the SEC for just helping us through that difficult time. So needless to say, getting back here, getting back on schedule, grateful to be here. Grateful to be in this league for 9 seasons. You see so many people come and go, so many coaches come and go. Obviously, very, very difficult, very challenging, but again, grateful is the word that comes to mind. You know, thank you to the media. You know, as I just mentioned, there was quite a few stories for Kentucky to cover a year ago. A couple of those young men that are with us today. First young man is Josh Paschal. You will get a chance to visit with him. He's a guy that has his own story overcoming cancer. He's battled through many things. Terrific football player, terrific young man, great leader in our program, and had his own individual struggles that he is continuing to fight and continuing to beat. The other one is Darian Kennard, a terrific player, decided to forego his you know, opportunity to go play in the NFL, come back and you know, and play with University of Kentucky one more year, and we're grateful for Darian. So 2 special young men that you'll get an opportunity to visit with. You know, as I talk about you, the media, and some of the things you covered, I remember a year ago, one of the last interviews Coach Schlarman did, you know, he was fighting through so much. You know, it was really inspirational just to watch John go about his business every day and go to meetings, go to practice. You know, one of the side effects from his treatment, his cancer treatments, were blisters. He could barely walk, and he was just really struggling. And one of you in the media asked him and did a story and just said, "Why are you doing this? You know, why are you continuing to go out there and coach this football team?" And he just simply said, very matter of fact, for the team, you know, just for the team. So obviously that's a mantra that stuck with me and stuck with our football team that we will carry forward. And it's also a reminder during these times, you know, during these turbulent times of college football and college athletics in general, you know, it is still about the team and doing things right. You know, for me, you guys have heard me for years sit here and just pound it about the program, and building the program, and all the different things we do each and every year. And that's still the foundation. Build, select, develop, you know, constantly talk about that, build a winning culture, hit our players over the head with a sledgehammer about a positive culture, you know, selecting the right players. Our coaches always seem to do a great job to recruit the right players and select the right players for Kentucky. And then intentionally develop. You know, that's what we do. We have to. You know, we develop players from the moment they walk on their campus. You know, we again, hit them over the head, and work with them each and every day to develop them in all areas of their life. And that's always our foundation. But there's always that point, you know, to John's point, it is about the team. And in this changing times, you know, you can kind of cherry pick some players, and it's a different time, it's a different age. As I just mentioned, 9 years, me standing here, very different. This year is very different, and with the transfer portal, all of us coaches that have come through here, we don't have all the answers to the portal. We don't have all the answers to name, image, and likeness, but we'll continue to do the best we can for the young people in our program. I feel like with that, we really did benefit our program this year. I felt like we added some players, we added some personnel that can help us, that can help continue to push our program forward. I really like the changes that I made in the coaching staff. I needed to. And offensive coordinator Liam Cohen coming in from the Rams, and hopefully continuing to push us forward and to give us the balance that I'm searching for. Defensively, Brad White, John Summerall continue to do a great job defensively, so I love our staff. I feel like we have a very good football team, a team that's worked exceptionally hard. Again, it's very nice for us to go back to doing the things that we do and spending time with each other during the summer. And, a year ago, all those things were taken away. This year, that's a big piece of our culture, is to spend time with each other. We do that every Wednesday. We have a speaker come in and educate our players on life, some form of their life, and then we go out back and have a cookout and spend time with each other. So it's been good. We're excited about the season and ready to get going. So with that, I guess I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Coach Stoops. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Abby, Christian, or Catherine will bring a microphone. Again, if you'll state your name and affiliation, and it'll help identify us. Start over here on the left, Christian, with Parrish on the left-hand side.
Parrish Alford, Daily Journal in Tupelo, Mississippi. Coach, what do you think Jaquez Jones brings to your team defensively?
Well, it brings an experienced player. It's definitely an area where we got caught a little bit short, as I mentioned in the opening statement, about having the opportunity to fill some holes. With Chris Oates having the injury and being unable to play again this year, and with the early departure of Jamin Davis, left us a little bit thin. And then we had an injury in the spring. Season-ending injury in the spring, and another inside linebacker. And so with that, he brings a player with a lot of experience and leadership, and we needed that at that position. So we're excited to have him.
Coach, we're going to go right down in front of us, third row. Michael.
Yeah, Michael Casagrande, AL.com. Just wondering, how did you approach the conversation with the team in terms of vaccinations and getting to that threshold?
Yeah, we're just going to continue to educate our players and, try to reach that threshold. We have a ways to go, but I believe it's attainable. We want them to make the right decision for themselves. I'll let the experts come in and continue to educate them and talk to them about the benefits of it and possibly some of the negatives, and let them make each of them make their own decision.
Coach, we'll go in the center section along the right aisle, about halfway back.
Conor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. Was there a moment last year in which you realized that your offense needed to change?
I think that's a fair question. Honest assessment. I mean, as we go through the season, you certainly look at all the things you're doing good, and you want to continue to build on that and improve in the areas that you need to improve, and the areas where you're falling short, you have to address them. So, yes, I can't tell you the exact time or date, but there was certainly a time throughout the year that I know we needed to make some improvement in that area.
Coach, we'll go over to our left, about the third row. Yeah. There we go, second row.
Hey, Mark, David Cloninger with the Charleston Post and Courier. There's always talk about maybe expanding the SEC season to maybe 9 conference games. If they ever went to that, what would you think of it?
Well, I wondered if people watched last year. The league, there was quite a few people that struggled, if anybody took notice of that. So that's how I feel.
Okay, we'll go in the center section about halfway back.
Hello, Coach. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. My name is Gerard Hamilton with the Tuscaloosa News. You got a new OC in Liam Cohen, who formerly was assistant QB coach with the Rams. What are the conversations you guys have been talking about as far as expanding the passing game and trying to boost that passing attack this season?
Yeah, that was a big reason why I hired Liam. I wanted to, it took me some time to, clearly look at what I wanted our team to look like and what I felt like we can do. And, so I spent quite a bit of time, researching people and systems, and ultimately came down to Liam. And so I have full confidence and trust in him, and that is part of his system, part of the offense, to be able to play action pass and get the ball down the field. I felt like this spring we got the ball down the field better than we have in years, so I feel very good about it.
Okay, we'll go in the center section inside white hat.
Coach Stoops, Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. I wanted to ask you a two-part question. First, about the transfer portal addition of Dare Rosenthal along your offensive line and the impact he could make. And then second, I've asked you about him before, but how have you seen Huntsville native John Summerall grow as a coach? And I know you're a defensive guy yourself, but talk about his rise in the ranks and the kind of recruiter he is as well, because I know he had a lot to do with Jarquez Jones choosing your school.
Yeah. Adding Dare, greatly helps our football team. As I mentioned, he has SEC experience, played at one of the premier programs in our league, very talented, and I'm excited to have him. We've had good offensive linemen. We've going to continue to build on that, and he's been a great addition. As far as John Summerall, he's a fantastic football coach. He really is. I look at him as a coordinator. He has a title of co-defensive coordinator, and that's well-deserved. I know Brad White, if he was here, he'd be the first one to tell you how much he leans on him. You have to, in this day and age, you have to have coordinators. You have to have people in your room that are more than capable, not just one, of calling defenses, setting it up, on both sides of the ball. And so grateful to have John. He's a terrific recruiter. He's got an unbelievable personality. Even though he was from Alabama, he played at Kentucky, and we're grateful to have him.
We're going to go to the center section about 3/4 of the way back on the aisle.
Hey, Coach, this is Ben Fredrickson from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. I'm curious how you've seen the series against Missouri play out in your seasons at Kentucky. It seems like whichever team wins that game finishes higher in the East. I think that you've got the upper hand in the series, but this overall score is tied. They've been some very close games. This is the earliest you will play Missouri in week 2. Just have you seen that series kind of become an indicator for how both seasons are going to go for both teams?
Well, I think you're correct there. I don't want to get ahead of myself. That is game 2. We're worried about the opener, but it is important. There's no denying that. I think it's as you look at all the teams in the East and you look at the teams trying to move up the ladder and continue to grow and to climb. Us in Missouri have had some terrific games, and I'm sure it'll be another very good game this year. So it's important.
Okay, we'll go right down here to our left, second row. Bob.
Hey, Mark. Bob Holtarger, September Craig. Is that how you do it? Hey, you've alluded a couple times to going into your 9th year. The league's got 8 coaches who are just going into their first or second year. The league kind of chews guys up a lot of times. You're second in tenure to Nick Saban. How do you feel about that? And just what's been the key to sustaining some success at a program that historically has not been able to do that?
Thanks, Bob. First of all, it's as I mentioned again in my opening statement, it's great to be back here. It's really good to see you. I missed you. I enjoy listening to your questions each and every day to every coach, though. So I always catch you on TV, getting that airtime. So that's good. But yeah. Well, you better not grow it too much more, Bob. But no, it's like I said. I think grateful. you really don't think about it until you start preparing for some of these statements and things of that nature, and talking about being in here 9 years. And I could remember Greg. I've known Greg for such a long time, but I didn't know he was a painter. But I was a very good painter growing up. I mean, I was on that ladder. I was working. But do you know true story, Greg? My first job, I worked at University of South Florida, and it was my first full-time coaching job, and I worked construction, and I did the painting at night to pay the bills. So that's a true story. Eric Wolford, who's my offensive line coach right now, he and I worked construction at night, so that painting paid off for me. But the 9 years I go back to when Greg was the assistant commissioner and working directly with football and just being in those meetings and just all the different turnover since then. I don't know, I guess, you don't really think about it till you get here and start talking to everybody, but I just want to go back to Kentucky, put my head down and continue to work so I make sure I'm here next year. That's really the goal, but also really want to continue to grow this program. I said it when I got to Kentucky that we were going to recruit, we were going to develop, we were going to compete, and I wanted to take this program to national prominence. And people laughed at me. We're not there yet, but we're on our way, and we're continuing the work. I feel good about where we're at. I think we have a very good team, and we have some things in place, and we're constantly learning, we're constantly growing, and we're getting better.
Coach, we're going to go over here to the right side, about halfway back.
Hey, Coach. John Frary from WFOI St. Augustine. We're kind of interested in Joey Gatewood. He's from our neck of the woods, and the quarterback situation with him and Levis right now.
Yeah, Joey has been a terrific teammate. Really has come in and worked hard, gotten better each and every day. He had a really good spring. Of course, Will was not there in the spring, so he and Bo Allen were battling for the starting position, and Joey really had a good spring. Now you add Will to the mix, and we have a lot to look at. It's nice to have options. I feel very good about those three and others in our program, so we'll see where it goes, but he did have a really good spring. And again, one of the things I was most impressed with him was he's a big, strong guy, but he was very accurate down the field. He got the ball down the field and was accurate down the field, something we needed to improve on.
Coach, we'll go here in the center section along the left aisle.
Hey, Mark. John Sokoloff with WCBI TV in Mississippi. I'm just curious, what do you kind of remember about when you faced Mississippi State last season? What kind of allowed you to have success about them? And what do you think about the Bulldogs heading into this year?
Well, Mike's going to be successful. He's been successful everywhere he's been. He's tremendous talent, and I'm sure they'll be much improved in year two. So that's what you expect. You just expect a great challenge. It's never easy for us to go down there. We have to go on the road and play, so I'm sure it'll be a hostile environment, and it'll be a much improved football team. And Mike's been around again a long time. I've known Mike for a long time, and I'm sure he will be very successful. So we have a lot of games before that. So.
Coach, we'll go over here to the left side, about midway back.
Hey, Coach. Kate Thomas with WAFB TV in Baton Rouge. There's a famous Dr. Seuss quote. When something bad happens, it can either destroy you, define you, or strengthen you. With all the tragedy and adversity that your team has gone through, what can you gain from that and take into this next season?
I think our team, I just credit our team with perseverance and strength, to continue to fight through that. There's no denying it was very difficult. It was difficult on everybody in here, every team. Everybody had adversity and things to deal with, and we were no different, but I greatly appreciate our football team. As I mentioned, when somebody asked me the question about 9 SEC games, well, there was 10 last year, and again, take a good hard look at what it did to half our league, and it could have been easy for our team to fold the tent and they didn't do that. And so I have great respect for them and the coaches in our program, and so I think we learn to persevere and continue to fight through.
Which we'll go over on the right-hand side and near the
Hey, Mark, Adam, Kentucky Sports Radio. It's the era of the super senior. But on your defense, you have a lot of them. You talk about 3 senior safeties. Josh Paschal's been a playmaker in this league. DeAndre Square has played a lot. How much flexibility does it give you all in the defensive room? Maybe you all have more wiggle room to do some more complex stuff. And do you feel like that's a unit that's being slept on? Because yearly, here recently, you all have been in top of the half of the league when it comes to pretty much any statistical measure you're looking at.
Well, appreciate you pointing that out. We've been, very, very good, very sound defensively. I do feel like there's some things we can do to play with some smaller personnel with the experience that we have. We've tried to play to our strengths, and this year, some of that strengths may be to play smaller, to play with 5 defensive backs, more than we have in the past to give us some more versatility. So we will see. That's something that we definitely did experiment quite a bit with in the spring, and we'll see where that goes here through camp.
Okay, Coach, we'll stay over here on the right-hand side.
Hey, Mark, Ivan Mazel with On3.com. Given the number of super seniors everywhere and seniors, how much do you expect the level of play to increase across the board? And as a coach, how do you expect to handle that?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We have 6 guys that I've never used that term, but it's a good term. Super seniors, I guess you're the guys that decided to come back, and we greatly appreciate having that experience. There's 6 guys that bring a wealth of experience. They've won a lot of football games. They've been to a lot of bowl games and had some success, and so hopefully they'll help us take it to another level and provide the leadership that we need. I feel like it's also a good time for us. It gives us great balance. Roster management is such a big deal now, with what's going on and again with the portal and all the transfers and different things. And I feel like we have good balance within our 6 classes now, which is very different. But that'll change each year.
Coach, we'll go straight ahead of us, about midway back.
Coach, 5 of the first 6 games are at home, and over the last 2 seasons at home, you guys have compiled a 9-4 record. How important is it to get off to a fast start in these home games?
Well, I think it's always important. To be quite honest, I really don't even look that far ahead as far as who's at home, who's away, and all that. We're just really concentrating on our opponents and getting ready for each game. But, as I mentioned earlier, every game is so important. We're only guaranteed 12, so we got to make the most of it. And I think we all understand the fine line in this conference with the close games and the difference between winning one and losing one is very important.
We have time for one more question. If anyone has a question, raise your hand. We've got a couple back here. We'll take these last 2 and go from there.
Hey, Trey Scott, 24/7 Sports. I'm interested, right here, in the dynamics of re-recruiting players a second time around with the portal. Wandale here specifically.
It was good to have a good relationship with Wandale. We recruited him extremely hard and tried to do all the right things and make it very difficult for him to say no to us, and that's our job. It didn't work out that way the first go around, but it came back the second time, and very grateful to have him in our program. He's a difference maker. He's a guy that was electric this spring, and you could feel his presence on the field, and I'm very excited to have him on our team.
Okay, we'll take one final question here in the center section. I think Drew had one. There you go.
Coach Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio in Huntsville, Alabama. I wanted to ask you really about the offense a little bit. I know we didn't get a chance to see any of it, but you added a piece like Wandale Robinson, but you also have Rodriguez at running back, who's a very good player. What is it that you philosophically want to see out of your offense, without giving away your plan, though, the changes that you've made?
Sure. I think, Obviously balance. That's the simple answer. That everybody understands that we need to have more balance. We ran the football extremely well for years, and we want to continue to do that, but we want to take advantage of that as well and be able to be efficient and play action pass and getting the ball down the field. And I feel like we certainly improved in that area. Also, there's some versatility in the run game that we can continue to add to. So, I feel good about it. It's going to be different, but I always want to have a strong physical presence. I want to be able to run the football. Me being a defensive guy for years and years, you always feel that threat. It's always very aggravating when teams can run the ball on you. And so, we want to have a strong physical presence, but again, get the ball down the field and create explosive plays.
Alabama has a record number of open jobs. Find yours at your local career center.